It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He is Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley as we begin the Monday show. Oh, Gary.
Man, I'm telling you.
What is happening?
I'm telling you. There's a ton of stuff.
There's so much going on.
Let's hit one of the top things over the weekend, though. Actually, it was before the weekend began because it was actually Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
And Trump at the White House.
Mm-hmm.
This is just great. I mean, when I saw this live, and I just died laughing. Here we go.
Right. The NCAA has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine? Well, are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with the state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
Hey, is the governor from Maine here? I want to call her out. Hey, where are you? Hey, why don't you stand up and come up here next to me?
Oh, my. I mean, that was...
yeah. When her answer was, oh, I'll comply with state and federal laws. I am the federal law. Oh, my gosh. I love it.
Then you saw the governor of Wisconsin considering calling women, or mothers now, inseminated persons.
Yes, right. Right.
I saw Brett Favre said, Brett Favre didn't agree with that.
Yeah.
But it's like, we're just going to double down on this insanity. We're just going to double down.
Yeah,
we don't care. Now, the funny thing is, I went, that was perfect. And then as I thought about it, and it was Saturday because that was being played, everything, I went, oh, the only thing he didn't do is say, I would have brought up women hatred. Why do Democrats, now that you're sitting here, I have a question for you. Why do you hate women?
Right.
Why are you practicing? Why the Democrats claim that they were the party of women and women's rights and the misogyny, the women, I would say misogyny, and then, I know it's redundant, the misogyny, the hatred towards women from Democrats. We've never seen anything like that, in modern times.
Yeah.
And, you should be backing women, and the fact that you don't, the fact that you promote misogyny is just horrendous. Yeah. But it was still fine what he did. But I just think that the Republicans now, because they're doubling down on it.
Yep.
They're just saying, we don't care. We don't care. We're just going to do it.
While the other half of their side goes, we don't know why we're losing elections.
Yeah,
talk to the half that's doing this. Talk to your radical base that's still making moves that are going to further tank your elections going forward.
By the way, I had planned for a while, but I had a quick trip to Santa Fe, New Mexico over the weekend. I went Friday, was back on Saturday. Before I left Saturday, I'm watching the morning, news, and it was the morning news out of Albuquerque. And they were like, the entire congressional delegation has reiterated their support for men playing against women in sports.
Yeah.
I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And then I checked. I go, is their entire delegation Democrat? It is. They only have three. They have three Congress people, members of the House, and then two senators, all Democrat.
Right.
And I'm just shaking my head saying, like, wow, this is absolutely insane. Just nuts.
Yeah, it is. And again, they're fighting for it. Look, they're fighting they're fighting in court. She said,
Yeah.
We'll see you in court. Right. They legally want to bring this. Okay, great.
There's no way that you can, and here's the funny thing. It's like, well, the federal government has nothing to do with it. Well, you didn't say that when Obama was changing, sex, the definition of sex,
right,
in Title IX. You weren't screaming then,
right.
It's just you people, and we've said it again over and over again. They suck on the issues, and that's why they're losing. You see Bill Maher. I can't play the audio because there's too much cursing in it. But he just can't go all the way. By the way, Bill Maher knows he's full of crap.
Yeah.
But he's talking this, the one guy from the one podcast, who's absolutely that, transgenders, that men should compete against women and everything else. And again, not bringing up this guy was so easy to argue with because he was saying, well, they shouldn't ban this surgery. Well, they're not banning the surgery.
No.
They're saying children, sorry, the argument is children can't do it. Adults, right. You can do what you want.
Right.
And he kept saying that, and Bill Maher never addressed it. But Bill Maher came out at the end and said, if you keep doing this, you're going to lose every election if you keep promoting this insanity.
And this is, again, what they're willing to fight for. They're willing to go full on. They lose the election. They're willing to go full on with this. Remember, you just mentioned, they weren't crying when Obama was talking about it because Obama was talking about their agenda. They didn't fight Obama. It was okay for the federal government to step in the joint edict at toward the end of his second term with the Department of Education and Department of Justice. And that edict stated that those students could walk into the office of school without parental involvement, without doctors, without anybody, and say, I'm not Jack, I'm Janet. And you couldn't give them you couldn't make special arrangements, even on a road trip traveling with female students. If all those girls were staying in rooms together, you couldn't make special arrangements for the boy who wanted to sleep in the girls' rooms on road trips. This was the Obama administration, and nobody on the left was standing up for the women in those sports.
Right, and
nobody.
All the states and cities say we need to be in compliance with the federal government.
Right.
It's just what a zoo it was. What a zoo it was over the weekend. I mean, I was just like,
that was a great way to start the weekend, though, because that just went everywhere.
And then with Joy Reid gone now we're sad here at the show.
Yeah,
I know we know a lot of
great audio is going to be
yeah.
But if she ends up doing a show with Keith Olbermann in his mom's basement, then maybe we'll get some audio from that. I don't know. I have no idea. Watch, they'll put her on The View. Oh, please put her on The View.
Well, the interesting thing is, first they let her go. I'll have to find the. I think it was. I think it was John Nolte at Breitbart. Oh, he just wrote the greatest article on it. We'll get to that, but you have Joy Reid, Alex Wagner, who they refer to as a POC. I always go, what does that mean? Oh, not POS, POC.
Okay. Person
of color. They replaced two people of color on MSNBC and replace them with white people. It's like, racist!
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
You're not going to win that. Well, we talked about the DNC. They went through all of their DEI rules and everything before they voted on new leadership, and they end up voting and installing two white guys.
That's exactly after all that.
We don't really mean it. Oh my gosh!
And let me just see if I can find what I wanted to get here, because it was just the way that he wrote it was just so beautiful. I thought I made a copy of it, but I did not. But I'll get to that here coming up here in a little bit. But one of the things is the Democrats are screaming because they've replaced them with. I think Joy Reid gets replaced by three people, including Michael Steele, who they view as a Republican.
Yeah.
Remember, he was former head of the RNC, and 2 Biden people, and then Alex Wagner is going to be replaced by, again, Jen Psaki, another Biden person. So the far left is screaming that MSNBC is replacing the resistance with the people who lost an election.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're livid about it.
Yeah.
I'm sitting back going, that. But you and I said this. You're selling that. Comcast wants to sell MSNBC. How do you sell it? Because now all the stuff with Joy Reid, all the homophobic stuff that they had found on social media from her going back 10 years?
Mm-hmm.
And then she said, remember on one of it, she goes, no, somebody got into my social media. Somebody got into my social media and changed it. And nobody bought that at all.
Right.
But the homophobia that came, from her, but then just her insanity, we'll play some of the audio cuts because it was just like, here's some of the expert analysis, political analysis you're going to miss. We'll have some of that coming up, but it was just, wow, what a weekend.
Whatever MSNBC ends up becoming, because, they're going to change the name. It's not going to be part of NBC anymore. Hasn't been part of Microsoft. That's what, for those that don't know, MS and MSNBC originally stood for Microsoft. It was a joint venture. And like with a lot of joint ventures, it didn't go well for Microsoft. But I don't know what they're going to do, because the thing is if you're a buyer, what are you buying? Right? What are you actually buying if the name has to be changed and they're letting a bunch of the hosts go? It's not the same channel. You're going to a channel formerly known as MSNBC. I don't know what you change it to. I don't know what you do in your branding. You could launch another channel and probably have greater sure footing than buying whatever's left of MSNBC.
All right.
I mean, it's probably going to be a part of a group thing. It's going to be a part of the other properties that they're selling off. The parent company is selling off, but I don't know what you do with it.
Here it is. Far-left MSNBC appears to be waging war on people of color with the action of homophobe Joy Reid's primetime show and the replacement of primetime anchor Alex Wagner. Reid is not losing her show because she's a documented homophobe and liar, or because she's divisive, racist, and prone to conspiracy theories. All those traits kept her in the MSNBC lineup for 5 years. No, the show is getting canceled because Reid's ratings suck.
Yeah, right.
Since President Trump won his re-election in November, and while Fox News has surged in viewership, both CNN and MSNBC lost huge chunks of their audience after being assured and reassured for a decade that Trump's destruction was just a segment or two away. Demoralized CNN and MSNBC suckers, and then he crosses it out, viewers, apparently got tired of being lied to and walked away. Currently, more Democrats watch Fox News than MSNBC or CNN. And then he goes through the, all the ratings. And it says the far-left New York Times reports that the final episode of The Reid Out will air this week. However, or whether or not Reid will remain at MSNBC as some sort of contributor is uncertain. MSNBC is planning to replace Ms. Reid's program with a show led by a trio of anchors, reports the Times. This trio was former Democratic strategist Simone Sanders, former RNC chair and current MSNBC host Michael Steele, and he writes here, some chick named Alicia Menendez, who pretends to be a journalist, according to one misinformation expert I spoke with. No one's going to watch this blank either. Also out is person of color Alex Wagner, who would be replaced by the whitest person on TV, former Biden White House serial liar Jen Psaki.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Breaking news. It was just announced that Joy Reid will be starting an all-night radio program called Reid Eye Radio. Oh. And so we're looking forward to the competition.
Wow. Just, I'm sad because we used her audio all the time, but don't worry.
It'll be somewhere.
Yeah, it'll be there. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, I mean, that's the complaints when you went on social media. The resistance is furious.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, you're putting in Biden people. Right. You're putting in establishment Democrats that lost the race to Trump.
Yeah.
And you expect us to watch that?
Yeah, that remember that painting that used to go around, and I mean, like a lot of people had it. It was a really big pop culture painting, and it was a scenario of a corner all-night diner, and there was who all was sitting there was Marlon Brando at the table and others, and all these famous old-time actors sitting at this. There's 4 or 5 of them sitting at the counter of this all-night diner. Well, the liberals can redo that. They got Joy Reid, Jim Acosta, who else? All these people that no longer have a presence, that are sitting at this all-night diner having coffee. But here's my question on that. They became problematic. If Joy Reid was making a ton of money for that channel, for her former employer, then they'd be making a deal. You'd want to shore that up. In fact, for the buyer, that helps your valuation on that property. Same with Jim Acosta. If it was working, they'd have kept him.
One of the best things I saw was our friend Larry O'Connor from WMAL. He goes, look at this. Rachel Maddow, I forgot who the other person is. Hayes, I can't think his first name.
Oh, yeah.
They had to settle that lawsuit for tens of millions of dollars. He goes, they keep their job.
They get to keep their jobs.
The white people keep their jobs, and they're the ones that cost MSNBC tens of millions. I'm paraphrasing here, but it's accurate.
Oh, my gosh. You cause actual damage to the company and get to stay. Oh, wow. Is that white privilege? I don't know. I'm just asking a question.
866-90-RED-EYE.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. Tires command a lot of attention. As a top expense for drivers and a leading cause of CSA violations, any tire maintenance practice that can help extend tire life is worth consideration. Consider tire balancing, which can set you up for savings and a smoother ride before your tires touch the highway. Tire balancing corrects an uneven distribution of weight in tires and wheel assemblies and offers benefits like improved fuel economy, increased tire life, and reduced vibration. Unusual shaking in the seat, cab, or steering wheel is a warning sign your tires might need to be balanced.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. German elections held yesterday. All the 50 million votes counted in one day, paper ballots.
Imagine that, huh?
Yep. So we'll get to that. The conservatives, there's a headline, conservatives poised to lead Germany. That's, fascinating. There was movement in Germany like they expected there was going to be.
Now, does the liberal media there call them Nazis? I don't know. I don't watch German television, so I'm just asking a question.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, because that would be awkward, right? A little bit awkward.
Over there. You're a bunch of Trumps.
Yeah, exactly.
They needed to find a word worse than Nazi.
You are an Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, right.
How
Elon
dare
Musk.
you?
It's a new one. That's right. You, Elon, you.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. You ready?
All right, I'm ready.
Some of the best or worst of Joy Reid.
Yeah.
All right, here is Joy Reid on, this is after the election. I believe this was election night. Her analysis of the Harris campaign for president.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
I mean, this really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign. She had Queen Latifah never endorses anyone. She came out and endorsed. You know, I mean, she had every prominent celebrity voice. She had the Taylor Swiftie to the Swifties. She had the Beehive. Like, you could not have run a better campaign in that short period of time. And
Wait a minute. Wait. She's got the Swifties and the Beehive? What?
All right.
That's unbeatable.
All right. Now, this is her comparison of the assassination attempt of Trump and trying to compare that Joe Biden recovering from COVID is the same thing. Here we go.
the question that I have on that, these two men are both elderly. Donald Trump is an elderly man who, for whatever reason, was given 9 seconds to take a iconic photo op during an active shooter situation. Weird situation. We'll figure that out one day. But his survival of that and bouncing right back and going right to his convention is being conveyed in the media world as a sign of strength. This current president of the United States is 81 years old and has COVID. Should he be fine in a couple of days? Doesn't that convey exactly the same thing?
I don't know. Do we have reason to believe someone is trying to assassinate the former president with COVID? Because otherwise, what the hell's wrong with you?
See, this is why we're going to miss her.
Oh, my God.
We want the loud, insane voices that represent the mainstream of the Democratic Party.
Isn't that exactly an attempted assassination, and then the other guy has COVID? What am I missing here? A job.
Now, what I find beautiful about that and about Joy Reid in general is the Democrats and she on her opinions of where she stands on the issues are so insane that they actually have to work in their mind and go, how can we make this comparison? Okay, it's absurd, but it's the only thing that I've got.
Yeah.
And so let's listen to this one, okay?
All right.
As she talks about inflation.
All right,
here we go.
The people I ever hear use the word inflation are journalists and economists, right? So that is not part of the normal lexicon of the way people talk. So it's interesting that Republicans are doing something they don't normally do, right? Which is not use the common tongue, right? Not use just common English to sort of do on their campaigns like they're doing with crime. But what they've done is they've taught people the word inflation, right? Yeah. Most people who would have never used that word ever in their lives are using it now because they've been taught it, including on TV, including in newspapers. They've been taught this word, and they sort of wrap this word around whatever it is that they really want to vote, the reasons they really want to vote.
What the hell is she talking about? Well, go ahead. You can scream if you want.
Perfect example that the left believes you're stupid.
Yeah, isn't it?
These idiots never have even heard the word inflation until the Republicans mentioned it during the campaign. These American morons don't even know what inflation is. I doubt they can even do the math on high prices. I don't even know how they dress themselves.
I'm sorry, but I was thinking of Caveman Lawyer. I'm not familiar with these complicated words.
I thought inflation had to do with tires and whatnot. Proper inflation. Is this improper inflation? Somebody, please help me out here. Oh, my gosh.
But even
they don't use words like inflation.
But even I can't relate to that as caveman lawyer because Mr. Flintstone had stone tires.
Yeah. So she's accusing the right of not knowing, in their base, not knowing the word inflation when the left made up the whole shrinkflation thing. Yeah. They made this word up. Inflation didn't even exist. It wasn't even in the dictionary before 2022. They're just making it up. You know who also makes up words? Nazis. I mean, I know it's been legal for a long time, but seriously, they have to have moved on to mushrooms or something. Because it's just, I don't remember in the 70s Cheech and Chong making movies with stupid things like this in them. They were funny. They were funny movies. But this is an acid trip. These people are completely delusional.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Because if Tommy Chong made the same statements that she made, you'd go, oh, okay, I can understand. He's high.
Hey, man, I don't practice shrinkflation, man.
Wasn't that a Seinfeld episode?
Probably. They don't even know the word shrinkflation or inflation. They don't even know the word. Oh, by the way, we're going to introduce some new words. Shrinkflation. Shrinkflation. Wait a minute. Your side was screaming shrinkflation. These big corporations, they're trying to steal from you. Shrinkflation. By the way, some of the chip makers have actually, everybody wants you to believe, oh, they're putting more chips in the bag and less air. No, they actually just made the packaging smaller. It's the same weight as it always was. And, the left has to make up, I don't know how many words have they made up. Go through the DEI handbook and look at the number of words that they've made up.
Well, I think one would be instead of mom, or the latest one, instead of mom in Wisconsin, the governor there is thinking of inseminated person.
Yeah, exactly. Or IP for short.
IP. I can't wait for IP Day in May.
Yeah. Hey, have you met my IP here?
This is my...
Oh, you can't say my.
That's possessive.
Yeah, because you can't say, you just have to, have you met the IP? The what? The internet provider? No. Do I have to guess until you, inseminated person? No, I haven't, because that would be stupid. You mean the woman? We tried to soften it at one point ages ago, someone who is with child, right? Okay, it's more of a delicate term, And then I don't know what numbskull came up with. Prego! That's a little harsh. It's, but then the inseminated person, hey, can we just go back to with child? By the way, they don't want you to believe that, because if they say with child, oh, you believe life begins in the womb.
Right, you can't. You're right. You can't say with child. Right. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
so man. I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to the next almost 4 years. I mean, it's every day is just the Super Bowl.
You just hit on something. I actually was thinking tonight on the way in. Oh, man, 4 years is going to go by way too fast.
Even though I was out of town, I almost called you on Friday when I saw Trump do that to the Maine governor.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
And then what happened for the first time in a long time, because normally I'm sleeping, I was able to watch Brett Baer.
Mm.
And he had on a couple of panelists, including the Leslie Marshall, the well-known liberal who's a Fox News contributor. Now, I know Leslie. She used to work in Buffalo. And I haven't seen her in ages, But she's okay. She's always been great to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she'd probably say the same back. I'm telling you, they were discussing about, the president and the Maine governor.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's because I know her. I felt sorry for her because she could not come up with a coherent argument. Well, there's a lot of other things to worry about besides this. Why are we worrying about this? And even Brett Barrett came back. He goes, well, we can do more than, one thing. There are a number of issues out there. You don't sit there and say the issue doesn't matter because there are other issues.
Right.
Basically implied. Brett Baer went back at her, and she's just sitting. I'm looking at her. She looked like a deer in the headlights, and I'm like, you can't defend this.
No, you can't.
You can't.
No.
And to the point was, and I think it's because I know her, and we were always friendly when we both worked in Buffalo at the same time. But it was like, it was cringeworthy. That's why I felt sorry for her, because I went, she doesn't have an answer.
Yeah.
She does not have a coherent argument to sit there and say, no, it's right. Misogyny is good.
Yeah. Yeah, they're losing it. They're losing it. And, this is, but they don't see it. They don't get it. And you can't change now. You're heavily invested. The radicals aren't going to change. But those on the fringe of being radicals have to go in line because, number one, the mob rules. Number two, you've invested heavily into the cause. You probably went to a march or two. You can't do it. You can't turn around. You can't unindoctrinate everybody else either. You can't look at people and say, we were wrong for this. That takes guts.
That's the problem when you practice racism, identity politics, and misogyny, women hatred with the radical transgender movement. It's very tough to immediately, with the same people, have the opposite opinion.
Right. Yeah.
The only way you can do it is have all new leadership, and there is no all new leadership that's coming in.
No, there isn't. Nope. No, it's insane. It's insane right now. And it's, again, indicative of this. I mean, there is this massive cultural separation. And it really is. The radicals, they don't think normally. They don't. And that's not going to change. This isn't a political tactic. Some are using it as a political tactic. This is driven by pure radical thought.
Yeah, it is.
And you don't change that. You're not going to change it in the minds of those radicals.
Wow, what a weekend.
Yeah.
And more to come.
Yeah, right.
866-90 Red Eye.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Talk about what's going on, the Ukraine negotiations. Sort of going where we thought it was. When it first came up, when Trump brought up the whole thing about, the valuable things that Ukraine has in the ground and all that. And,
right.
And that will help pay for it. You and I said on that day, we said, Zelensky should not immediately look at that because that was the first part of the negotiating point. All right, this how you start negotiating. And we said the first thing we thought of was, well, that's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
You want some time. And it looks like, I saw Bissett yesterday talking about the fact that this is going to be some type of partnership with an implicit security guarantee, which means that it looks like we're going to buy the stuff.
Right.
We're going to buy the stuff from them. And again, that's what I got out of it.
Well, and I think J.D. Vance was explaining that. It was like, look, it will give us an interest in Ukraine.
Right.
And if we have an interest in Ukraine, then obviously the security is implied that it will be there. And it's, it's not us taking over Ukraine. If they're going to get what's out of, if they're going to mine, if they're going to start mining what's in the ground in Ukraine, then we get to become one of their customers. And if we're their customer,
their primary customer,
we're their direct, in that case, then we have a direct interest in the security of Ukraine.
And that's what we said day one. We said, whoa. Doesn't he realize that if the United States has an interest in all those, valuable things, metals and everything you have underground that currently we may be getting from people that are adversaries to us?
Right.
Well, you've just got an implicit security guarantee if the United States is involved in that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
We've been here before.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here, as always.
Thank you.
What a weekend. What a weekend it was. We talk about the moves in the Pentagon.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, congrats to our colleague who worked or works for another day, I'm not sure, for our company, Dan Bongino.
Way to abandon radio, Dan, for the country. Way to put the country first. How about somebody put radio first? Said nobody ever. Said absolutely nobody. Congratulations, Dan. I was just talking to his very capable producer, Jim Verdi, who is he works, they all on that show work really hard, unlike some shows. And
are you taking a shot at our people?
I didn't say that.
Did you take that as a shot, Alan?
I didn't say that. No, but after the next break, I will be taking some shots in the next segment, though. This one's about Dan. Congratulations, Dan. I talked to Jim Verdi. He just broke like a few discs in his back working around his house. And Jim has been, not Dan, but Jim, and he's been working through that. He's had a back brace, and I saw him the other day, and I was like, dude. And so he's just got tremendous work ethic to put that show on. But, Dan is obviously a great pick to serve with Kash Patel. I think, obviously, Kash Patel knew that. Trump knows that. Trump had some kind words on Truth Social, posted about the announcement. And so we wish him Godspeed, because we know that it's going to be there's a lot of work to be done. If there are two people who are capable of going in and rooting out the rot at the FBI, they are Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. And it's going to be, I think, a very good thing to reinstate the integrity, maybe even a higher loyalty at the FBI, a true higher loyalty. It's, we talked about things in the past while, that was going on with James Comey. And when he was testifying, we were talking about how he didn't use the law enforcement language. There is a language. They all speak it, and Dan's a broadcaster, great podcaster, and has been just a bonus, and we're privileged to have him as part of this company for so long, and now we're privileged as an American public to have him as deputy FBI director. But he knows that language as former Secret Service agent, NYPD. He's he knows the language. You know that when they go in, Kash Patel, the same thing. Comey, I don't know what language he was speaking. It was weird. It was just always weird hearing him talk because it didn't sound like anybody who represents the top law enforcement agency in this country. And I have family members at the FBI. I haven't reached out to them to ask them about either Kash Patel or now Dan Bongino, but I'm sure I can say this about them. I'm sure they're happy with both picks, very happy, and happy that those, again, the special agents, the ones that are out there doing the job. Keep in mind, during that whole when that white paper thing came across from Hillary's lawyer, there were 2 agents that were assigned to that said, this is bat soup crazy. Remember that. Mm-hmm. Those agents that are doing the work, they're the ones with that higher loyalty. It is management. It's the upper brass for far too long. And there were some agents at the top that were just, they had no business being there. They were carrying out an agenda. The only thing you should be doing is enforcing law, investigations, enforcement. It's what the FBI does. And if we don't save it now, we never will. And I have confidence in leadership now, once again, at the FBI. And I think we all should. I think that's, the weaponization of the FBI. You and I have talked about this. You mentioned it about lawfare and weaponization of the Department of Justice and the FBI as massive reasons, main reasons for voting for Trump. I think that's the case for a number of people. But we must, as a nation, get back to law enforcement. There's always going to be, at the director level, you got to always be the handshaker and everything else. That's fine. But first and foremost, there should be an actual higher loyalty, and that is to the rule of law. Enforcing the law, not using it for your own political agenda over and over again. And we found that has been the case and has gone on far too long. I'm so curious about, Robert Mueller, who was special counsel for the whole Trump-Russian hoax thing. And we were saying from the beginning of that, well, if he doesn't go all the way back, to when he was FBI director, and all the things that we were learning, thanks to real journalism, Solomon and others that were doing that real journalism at that time. If they don't go back, and they were using court records, they were using real evidence, not like the left just throwing out things. They were using real items to present their stories. Here's what was going on. If Mueller doesn't go back to the years where he was FBI director, then you're not going to get to the root of where that rot really, really started to surge. I can't say it began there, but certainly we know that it really started to gain traction.
What we always said about the Mueller report or the Mueller investigation is, and we now know they knew that the dossier was bogus.
Yep.
But you and I said, if they don't go back, and because as we said back then, if you look at it, okay, the whole thing is Trump colluded with the Russians.
Yeah.
To hack the 2016 election. My God, it's 2025.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy?
I know. But you and I had said if he doesn't go back, because what you're looking for is, and we looked at this as investigators, not as partisans, but as investigators.
Right.
All right, I'm charged with finding out whether Trump was colluding with the Russians.
Right. Only the facts matter.
Right. So what do I look at? Well, I need to find out what the best evidence was. What was the best evidence that Trump colluded with the Russians? Well, where was it?
Right.
And you and I looked and said, well, it's got to be the best evidence that Trump colluded with the Russians to hack the 2016 election has to be somewhere in that FISA warrant to look into the Trump campaign. Because to get a FISA warrant, And we said if he doesn't go there and look at it, that's how you know it's bogus.
Yep.
And, of course, he never looked at that because they knew day one that the dossier was bogus, and the dossier was the evidence that got them a secret warrant. Mm-hmm. And so when you think about when they start talking about the weaponization of government under Trump, and that's just one example, and you can go to the example of the FBI monitoring, taking down license plate numbers of parents at school board meetings because they're furious because there's been a sexual assault in a bathroom by a male who's allowed to be in there, and they're furious because of sexual assaults, and you send the FBI in there to take down the license plate numbers of parents there, and you're worried about anything that Trump has done? Well, you're a damn hypocrite.
Exactly.
You're absolutely a damn hypocrite, and you know it.
Yep.
And so, congrats to Dan, and we're very familiar with his staff. Never met Dan, but their control room. The control room. I think Dan, does he broadcast from home?
Yes,
from Florida.
Yeah,
but all of his producers and everything else work 1 foot away from us. They work a wall away.
They're right
there. Eric's knocking on the window, which is the
glass.
The glass right there. They're all right there.
And and these are dedicated pros.
Yeah, great people.
Just like Dan. I mean, it is the team. Unlike some shows, and it's like
listen
I'm
to
just
him.
joking. I'm just joking.
I'm telling you,
we're privileged to have a really awesome team put in place that's in place now and has been.
Yeah, I guess
for a while. It's they're forced. I don't know what they did to deserve this punishment, but they're here, and we're grateful to have them. But it is, when you look at the nature of that, if we are a nation of laws, if we're not going to enforce the laws, and this is what the people want, they see the rise in violent crime. They see the left still wanting to get people out of jail and not have them go to jail at all and serve for what they have done. It's insane, and it's how a society breaks down. Because if we don't enforce the laws, then it will be absolute chaos. It will be mayhem, and we cannot have that as a nation. The people don't want that. You and I talked about during the whole defund the police thing. Everybody screaming that, then you get into the polls, and it was like, should they defund the police? Oh, yeah. What about your town? No, my town is fine. What that came down to is people didn't really want the police to be defunded. It comes back down to if there are bad actors that are on the job in any local police agency, local, county, state, federal agency, then those individuals should be weeded out and brought to justice if the condition warrants. Other than that, there needs to be, and by the way, that's part of it, a very clear understanding. If you do something wrong, not a mistake, but deliberately do something wrong, if you commit a crime, even if you wear a badge, well, then you're not above the law. Those are things we've talked about. It's not that hard. These things are not difficult to understand. The left wants you to believe, well, people on the right don't understand the word inflation. They never even said the word inflation. They're being taught that they believe you're stupid. We're not stupid as a public. We're not. You're not stupid. You can be sometimes ignorant of the facts. You can be wrong, in my opinion, with your opinion.
Me?
Yeah. No, not you.
Oh,
ever.
okay.
Yeah. Sorry, folks. I'm bound by my contract to say that anytime it comes up because somebody gets all worked up about it. We're a nation of laws. We want to feel safe in our homes. I talked about how the election was different and the disconcerting issues at every turn. A broken border, an open border that the former administration just broke fully. The rise in violent crime in your neighborhoods. Boys wanting to play on your girls' teams and be in their locker rooms too, and you can't do anything about that. Putting obscene materials in front of your young children and fighting to do that. These are all, and then, of course, inflation. Now, listen, for those who are in the audience, you can Google the word inflation and learn what it means. You have to go back to the last hour. All these things are greatly disconcerting to a family. They shake you to the core because the security of your family, you can't afford groceries, you can't control the rising crime, you can't control illegals, especially violent illegals, coming into this country. You can't control the left when they want to put a boy on the team instead of your daughter. That's greatly disconcerting at every turn, and it needs to end. We need to quit being stupid as a nation, and I think we're on the mend. I think we're on the way to doing that.
866-90-RED-I.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Owner-operator Mike Nichols is leased to Wayne Transports, pulling in their dry bulk division today after decades in business for himself. Speaking to Overdrive's Todd Dills recently, Nichols offered a word of advice to any company driver planning to make the switch to running as an owner-operator, unless you've got access to family money or otherwise independently wealthy, he noted.
As a company driver, you need to be thinking about startup capital and down payment, and I would just say that you need to treat that like you would firewood. Save what you think you might need and then triple it, if not quadruple it. And you'll be thankful that you did.
You'll be glad you did. That is, not just given favorable loan terms with a good down payment. Inevitably with trucking, you'll get hit with a breakdown and huge repair bill, or another of those unforeseen events. You'll need that reserve cash to cover it and avoid taking on debt or going out of business. Hear more from Overdrive's 2024 Trucker of the Year contenders at overdriveonline.com/PIB.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you for being here. Analyzing the polls and where we are. I saw Frank Luntz over the weekend. We'll have the audio coming up following the bottom of the hour, saying that the American people are fed up. They're angry, and they want Washington to change. They want action. And also over the weekend, Hakeem Jeffries was on with Jake Tapper. Yeah. Oh, so there I am on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, doing my show prep, and I put YouTube on shuffle, so you never know what's going to come up next.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot in Congress last week, so it was just on shuffle. All of a sudden, it comes up, and it's from 2002, and it's the infighting in the band Leonard Skinnerd. Jake Tapper is doing the investigation. There he is talking, as I call him, the Charles Manson of Leonard Skinnerd. Artemis Pyle, you ever see him? He's the former drummer, why he wasn't in. And I'm like, this guy's voice sounds, it was done in 2002, so it's, 23 years old.
Right.
I'm like, that guy's voice sounds familiar. Oh, my God, it's Jake Tapper.
Where was he back then? Where was Jake Tapper? Was he with CNN back then?
It showed that it was a VH1 presentation.
Wow. Okay.
In the corner it said VH1. I'm like, Jake Tapper,
right.
and he's driving around the van with Artemis Pyle.
Yeah,
who always reminded me of Charles Manson.
Yeah,
he's got those wide eyes, and the hair was all long and everything else. But I'm like, wow, That's where Jake Tapper started?
Yeah.
Okay, wow. But he was talking to Hakeem Jeffries. He's like, oh, Trump's polling numbers. That's why, last week we were calling. And he goes, well, your numbers are horrible. The Republicans in Congress have double the polling numbers in a positive way than you have.
Right.
And it's like, wow. So we'll have that and a whole bunch more coming up here on the show. But yeah, it's just, I think right now when you look at it, and Trump was quiet over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
He was really quiet.
Yeah, he was.
We'll get to the whole situation with Ukraine, and where his polling numbers are great, which is almost everything except tariffs.
Yeah.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. I remember this audio cut from a little ways back from Frank Luntz on the election in November.
It's a very simple process. The public is not asking, they are demanding. They cannot afford to pay the taxes they're being asked to pay. They can't afford the inflation and the costs and the affordability. And they're saying Washington needs to spend less so the American people can have more.
Pass a bill. Pass a bill, have the president sign it. That's our system. Pass a bill with your
let me tell
party
you something.
and
Hold
let
it.
the president sign it.
Do you want to understand why Harris lost the election? The public didn't want to wait anymore. Your point is well taken about the Constitution, but the American people are fed up. They're angry as hell. They want Washington to change. And the reason why Trump is more popular today than he was even during the election, he's at the height of his popularity, whether we agree with it or not, because they want action.
There are authorities.
There you go. And again, the answer is, well, Congress will do it. Well, look, the president has a lot of authority, too, over the executive branch. That argument, by the way, is almost done. Anybody who brings it up, it's sort of like, sorry, you've got nothing there. Especially after the courts have started coming out and going, sorry, you don't have anything here. Sorry, the president can do this. Sorry, the president can do it. And I think that the president's surrogates, cabinet members, advisors are doing a great job. You and I played, I think it was last Thursday night, Friday morning, Stephen Miller, lecturing the press. This is how the Constitution works, because apparently none of you know.
And it's also, this is further indication of the left and the leftist media wanting him not to have any authority. Well, it'll let Congress do that. Well, there are things within his authority he can do, and he should be doing them. And they don't want that. They don't want that at all. They're getting to the point of, we can't believe one person controls the executive branch. They don't really, they are citing the Constitution. These things are unconstitutional. These things are you kidding me?
They can't explain why, though. Legally, they can't explain.
They can't, and they're the same ones that are saying, oh, we shouldn't have the Senate. Oh, we should be packing the courts. Well, we should be, and they are absolutely clueless or believe you're clueless.
I think there's a couple of things that the Democrats are hoping comes to fruition. One of them is, Trump is right now a disruptor. It's what the American people voted for.
Right.
Now, the American people a lot of times will vote for something, and when it hits, will they back off? That's still to be seen. Right now, so much is, if you're paying attention, there's so much is being thrown at you, and the Democrats are attempting to make it that it's complete chaos, and they're taking I think would be normal fluctuation minorly in poll numbers, as we talked about last week. The president on almost every issue except one is the president working on lowering the prices. That's the one where he is underwater, and that's 62%. And that is because, and this is the warning that we've given to the administration, the public understands what inflation is.
Yeah.
Joy Reid may not think that that's a new word. The public understands it. The public understands, for example, that's why minimum wage is not a big issue anymore. Number one, it doesn't matter what the minimum wage is. You're going to pay what the market rate is, as we all know. So does it matter that, California's minimum wage is whatever it is? What is it now? $500 an hour? And
$500 a minute.
A minute.
Yeah.
and the state of Texas and the United States is $7.25 an hour. Doesn't mean anything. Because you have to pay whatever the market rate is, which is way over that. But they also know that when you raise it, I saw another story over the weekend about California, or was it California, whatever state it was, raising the minimum wage again to over $20 an hour.
Right.
And they said layoffs are starting again.
Right.
The public knows that if you increase the cost of doing business anywhere along the supply chain, however you do it, it's going to affect the economic situation. The president the president was quiet this weekend. Really quiet on Ukraine, Zelensky, quiet on tariffs.
Yeah.
And so that's the one thing. The tariffs, the only thing that I've seen him underwater in is tariffs and getting prices down. And so you can have all this other stuff going on, and the danger is, and again, I don't know where it's going to end up, but the danger is you win an election based on the 15 to 20 million people that roughly changed in this election. That's how you win it. You've got people there that expected, not all, the vast majority haven't, but you have people that expected prices to come down day one because Trump said the prices would come down day one. Not all the time did he say it, but they got him on video a couple of times saying it, and so that's going to be used against you. The prices aren't down. The prices aren't down. The prices aren't down. Now, he has said in other speeches, well, prices aren't going to come down that much. They've been raised. What we're going to try to do is bring them down long term because of energy prices, whatever. But as he has said the last week, it's not going to happen right away. So he has been clear on that. But that's the one thing that Democrats are looking at, which is why they're pounding every single day, eggs, and the fact that prices aren't coming down. And Trump said at this one speech in September that they were going to start coming down day one. Well, they're not coming down day one.
No.
Yeah. That's the one weak spot because immigration and inflation were the two most important issues. And I would still say overall in that 6 months before, it was immigration number 2, inflation number 1. And so when you have all this, and it's, again, he's a disruptor. So it may seem like chaos because everybody's going crazy. The world is ending. Democracy is gone. Well, the public sort of realize that's a bunch of BS.
Right.
They know democracy isn't gone.
Right.
But there's a lot of chatter going on, and they're like, okay, all this stuff's going on. Are prices coming down? Are prices coming down?
Right.
And that's just the challenge that the president and the Republicans have.
Yep.
And the other challenge will be all of this promising of, trillions of dollars being taken off the budget, and just the framework that the Senate came up with was not viewed too favorably last week by us and others out there who believe there's actually going to be more spending. Well, if you're promoting that we're doing this incredible stuff, and at the end of the day it doesn't happen by next year or the year after, people will notice.
Yep. Yeah. And this is again, there's some things that are going to have to be done through Congress. You're going to have to that's something you're going to have to work on. The president is the head of the party. He's definitely got the bully pulpit. I believe he's got the control of the party. And I do believe he is right now capable of bringing the party together on a number of issues. Now, he's not going to get everybody together on tariffs in the GOP. That's just going to be the reality of it. But the question will be how many of them are willing to look the other way and go, oh, look, we're not dealing with that anyway. That's his thing. He can do on tariffs. And, we're going to do this on taxes. We're going to do this on other issues. There's a number of things that have to be where the tone has to be set by this administration and this Congress to tell the rest of the world that we're open for business. That's the one thing. You're not going to bring prices down, so the only thing you can do is expand people's buying power. Well, that happens through an expanding economy. You're also up against a wall on people coming here to work through legal means, because right now the American people don't want to hear it. I don't know how long that lasts, but you're going to need to bring people here in order to set up manufacturing and even mining, even in the oil fields.
But the one thing that, and it's being reported, because Jake Tapper hit Hakeem Jeffries on it over the weekend. I mean, you look at the numbers. The approval rating for the for the Republicans is over 40%.
Oh yeah,
and the right to and as a country going in the right direction is at 46%. That's huge numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, that's in the lower 30s, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's a positive, because there is a grace period that the majority of the people are giving the president to, solve the inflation problem.
Right. Yeah.
But even if you have 70% saying, well, yeah, we're giving him a chance to do it, you have maybe 5 or 10% of people that voted for Trump that want it now, which may be affecting the numbers a little bit there. But when you look at the numbers for Democrats, my God, 20%? 20% approval.
Mm-hmm.
And Jake Tapper threw that at Hakeem Jeffries, and really not much to say on it, because you can't. So it doesn't matter whether Trump fluctuates a little bit. We'll see where it goes on prices, inflation, tariffs, and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still the public is not looking and going, Democrats are the answer. They're still looking at Democrats, and this is the whole 80-20 thing. We reject you 80-20.
Well, because we often, as a public, we look back, those were the years. When you look back at what the Democrats, and I know Trump has only been back in office since January 20th, but still, I think this is going to be a lasting effect. They're not going to look back at, I miss the Biden years. Nobody's going to say that. Nobody's going to say, I miss the insane liberal left, man, wanting to, put men and women's sports and let criminals roam free and open border. Man, I miss that. You can look back at Trump's first term and say, man, I may not have liked the guy, but leading all the way up to COVID, the economy was going great. Things were going fine. And now, look at the mess. Well, reality, that's the reality. There isn't this delusional thought behind that. People are looking back going, man, if I had the spending power I had in 2018, 2019, I'd give anything for that. No one is ever going to look back and go, oh, man, if we could just go back to the Joe Biden years. No one's going to say that.
And then you look at it, and who are the representatives right now? Who's representing the Democratic Party? Hakeem Jeffries? Schumer?
Radical.
AOC?
Yep. Radical.
There's nobody in there.
Nope.
Oh, by the way, just so you know, I was looking at CPAC, and just so you know that some people in CPAC that finished over the weekend, that they're delusional. Who came in second place to win in 2028 for the Republicans? Steve Bannon.
Yeah.
Just to let you know that the CPAC, there are 12% of the people in CPAC that are absolutely and completely delusional.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because sometimes something like that is like a statement. That's not even a good statement.
No, it's not.
You know what
it's
I mean?
not. It's, no, that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, no.
Saw that, I burst out laughing. I'm like, oh, Bannon's beating DeSantis.
Right.
Oh, I don't think if it comes to 2028 and let's say Vance wasn't a part of it, that the majority would say, yeah, we're looking for Bannon over DeSantis.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think that would happen.
No.
No.
No. We can't tell you where it's going to go, but we can tell you where it's not going to go.
Yes, yeah, we could be pretty safe on that one. But that got a huge laugh out of me over the weekend.
Yeah, it is laughable.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. What we accomplished last week, that and Elon Musk coming up following the top of the hour. Also, the governor of Wisconsin has a proposal that would replace the word mother in state law with inseminated person.
Listen, ladies, you've had a good run.
Yes.
We don't actually want to even mention you, if you're on the left. We don't even actually want to mention you anymore. We're going to come up with all these terms to make sure we don't even mention you.
I would say that the governor of Wisconsin lacks timing.
Yeah. Well,
right now,
my question
is not the right time and place to do that, even in Wisconsin.
Well, my question is, the cookie lady fingers, what are we going to call those? Because that could get weird. And you can't call a woman a cookie. By the way, that's just, you can't do that anymore. Hey, cookie. Yeah, you can't do that anymore to bring it full circle.
Democrats in their continuing effort to marginalize women.
Uh-huh.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Monday, the 24th of February.
Trump just announced he's going to make Maine the 51st state.
And it's getting a little warmer out there. Oh, I got a story to tell you.
Yeah, what do you got?
As I told you, took a quick one-day trip to Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was getting ready to leave on Saturday morning, they only have I actually flew into the Santa Fe Regional Airport, which only has 2 gates.
Okay.
They only fly to 3 places. I think American, goes to Phoenix and DFW, where I was going. And United, I think, goes to Denver.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
So there's the United flight, which was leaving after ours.
Yeah, you mean from Santa Fe, that's where
right,
they go.
From Santa Fe, yeah, exactly, right. So I'm shaking my head as I'm listening to the announcements. And so the representative gets on there and says, we've oversold this United flight. And
that's not possible.
So we're looking for 1 or 2 people, right? And we've heard this before.
Oh, yeah.
And we're starting at $500.
Right.
To give up your seat, and we'll put you on a later flight that has plenty of seats.
Yeah.
Right. So they didn't get anybody.
Right.
And they go, well, we're doing the announcement again because we've got no one. We're going to start at $500. And again, we need it because we need to make sure we clear 1 or 2 seats, whatever. Comes back. I know we're coming back again, just a couple of minutes, but we still don't have anybody here. Now, I want you to know we're starting at $500, but you can negotiate with us. You can negotiate with us as to what you think would be reasonable. So that
They actually said that out loud.
They said that out loud, right. Oh, that's not, oh, that was the best thing they said. Then they came on a fourth time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shaking my head after I heard this. I'm like, you cannot sell this. It was like, we still don't have, anybody who's come forward to take this. Now, understand, if we don't, then everybody will have to wait in line until we find somebody to do it. We won't be able to go any further, so understand that the flight will not take off until one of you volunteers. Well, you created the situation by overselling the plane, and you're basically telling the customer, if one of you does not say, no, I know we made an agreement, but I want the $500 to go somewhere or whatever it would be, that if you don't do that, your plane's not going to move until somebody does it. It's not the way that you should run a business.
Yeah. Listen, don't make us angry. You wouldn't like us when we're angry.
That's right. You're the
Any
one,
takers?
right. You're the ones that the customer didn't oversell. You did.
And we're also announcing emotional support babies will not be allowed on the flight.
I mean, I burst out laughing. What normally happens, they normally get somebody, but if they don't, they'll bump someone. But what they're saying is, we're not going to take responsibility for bumping anybody off the plane. We're just going to make you sit and wait until somebody volunteers to do it. So because of our decision to oversell it, you may have to wait until one of you volunteers not to go on this flight.
And then the next announcement was, we're going to make everybody do push-ups until somebody...
Oh, I mean, I was laughing. I'm like, wow. And then we took off. I don't know what happened. We took off before
Yeah.
they did.
Yeah, that was like in gym when, all right, Wilson didn't do as told, so we're all doing 100 push-ups.
Yes, I know.
Wait, what? Why are you punishing me? And you're delusional if you think I can do 100 push-ups. I weigh 100 pounds. It's a
wow.
I don't. I did as a joke one time, volunteered my wife to do that, but it's not a good thing to keep the domestic situation intact. Probably not a good joke at home. Just my advice.
Yeah,
I have taken actually. We were actually on a family trip. I did. I took a later plane and got there, and it wasn't long because there was a I had to go get a special rental vehicle, a large rental vehicle, 15-passenger van, and that I handed off to my wife. She went and did that, and she was just getting back to the terminal with the rental vehicle when my plane landed. So it actually worked out. It wasn't much of a delay at all. And I got it was $1,100.
If I was retired,
Mm-hmm.
I'd do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah,
I was,
you didn't
but
have to worry about being on time.
Yeah, but I can't. Every time I fly, it's like, okay, I got to be in now. I got to be in within a few hours. So
yeah,
I've never done it, but I've been tempted a few times, especially when it gets up to 1,000.
I've done it one time, $1,100. Yeah,
man, I would do it though, especially if I was retired and had, but that's not happening. So
plus they gave me a free beverage on the flight.
Oh, that's nice.
Non-alcoholic. Yeah, I got a free Diet Coke.
Well, who doesn't get that?
I know. I found that out later.
All right, so here's what I saw on social media. Dear Elon, what we did last week. Number 1, provided hot showers for all. Number 2, made the room a comfortable 72 degrees. Number 3, kept the lights on. Number 4, got everyone to work. Number 5, provided ingredients for 6,000 consumer products. We did some other stuff, but that pretty much sums it all up. And here's a picture of Trump. And it's like this beautiful picture of like these rolling grasslands with some flowers and the sun. There in the middle of the sun is Trump's face glowing.
Yeah.
and it's like, from the U.S. Oil and Gas Association.
Right.
All these things that we did.
Yeah.
You and I talked about that. That's sort of guys, move on from that one very quickly this week.
Yeah, drop that and move on. Look, creating efficiency is one thing, but you're creating now a rift between you and your new administration heads.
Right.
And you don't want that because the DOD, I don't know how many of them issued memos saying don't respond to this email.
The DOD, well, you have not DOD, State Department, Intelligence, FBI, and there was one other one. There was five. There was 5 departments that said, no, you don't have to do that. You don't. The problem is, as soon as that happened, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing, and it sounds like you're unorganized.
Let the department heads work with DOGE, and also don't turn DOGE into a joke, because I saw the memes and responses everywhere.
Yep.
And don't turn DOGE into a joke.
Yep.
That's what you risk, is the rift between DOGE and now members that Trump picked of his cabinet and administration. And you don't want that. You also turn DOGE into this big joke. Let it lie. Move on.
Yeah, move on. I mean, look, I don't. If you move on, there's no harm.
There's no harm.
Yeah, there's no harm.
Look, in spirit, I get it. Hey, what have you done lately? If anybody asks me, I'm like, I'll get back to you. It's these are the things that, again, have to be measured, but they have to be measured by department heads. The review has to be done by department heads, because I think I don't know anybody who's not on board. Well, the Department of Defense, the Defense Secretary himself, preparing the Department of Defense for cuts. He knows everybody is on board in your administration for DOGE in terms of the people you have picked so far and put in place. Don't throw a wrench into all that. It doesn't work. And that's not how it's going to play out, because those department heads should have that call, and they can go through. And like Pete Hegseth started with, I mean, they're going to go through, they're going to decide what they can do and do without, and that's the way it should be. And I'm sure there will be cuts in each of these departments. There's no doubt that the FBI Director Patel, and now I guess we can say, well, he's still our colleague officially, but will soon be our former colleague, Dan Bongino, as deputy director of the FBI. Those two definitely will be weeding out the rot at the FBI. I have no doubt when it comes to that. So those things aren't necessary. And again, let's not turn DOGE into a joke.
Right. As for Hegseth and getting rid of the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Brown, and whatever, look, these things are going to have to happen. Yep. And I was reading the
I didn't even blink when that was announced, when I saw that story.
I was reading the Wall Street Journal, and one thing that I disagreed with them on, what they said, because they were like, well, you get to choose who you want, but hey, and we know he wants to clear out the wokeness, but the wokeness can change overnight. No. I completely disagree. That's where it's been institutionalized inside of these bureaucracies that actually worked in Trump's first term, worked against him.
Zero tolerance.
Yeah. So, no, it's like, sorry, even if you did a good job, sorry, I can't take the chance. I need to know that the person, behind me is, the person underneath me believes this, and this, and I don't need to question anything, because we've got to move fast on this.
Right. Yep.
How did you see there was pushback on the 8% cut for the Defense Department for 5 years, because members of Congress went, we're not going to cut defense 40% over 5 years.
Right.
That's not happening.
Right.
So, I haven't heard that I didn't hear the 8% when you started hearing the pushback, especially from the Senate on that. But again, you saw where James Carville said, everything's going to, be a mess in 3 weeks. It's not going to be a mess, but it may seem like it when Congress starts the fighting against the executive branch.
Right.
Because I almost guarantee Congress is not going to do what the president wants.
On cuts?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
No, I think that definitely will be a messy situation. But,
but that's okay. That doesn't. He's saying it's going to completely fall apart. No, you're going to have healthy debate inside.
No.
Going back and forth.
Well, we shouldn't. None of us should expect this to be clean. We're not John Boehner here. We don't like messy.
No,
we love this kind of messy because the work they're doing should be hard and, quite frankly, should be a bit of a mess. When you have to purge, there are a lot of things you got to clean up. Purging requires you to clean up that garbage you throw on the street.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
there is nothing that has surprised me, the reaction from the left. Nothing.
Right.
That's why it's like, hey, everybody just calm down a little bit.
Right.
Just say we expected this because this and look at the polls going to fluctuate a little bit here and there for Trump. And like I said, the challenge is the economy. The challenge is how do you get prices down? The challenge is whether you're going to put tariffs on or not, and people are looking at this. And is the economy softening that we saw in January?
Right.
So there's a lot of challenges that they have, and they want to get the tax cuts in, whether they get the cuts that the president wants. Because one of the things is if the deficit increases, Democrats are going to use that against Republicans. Yeah. You've got DOGE and everything else, yet the deficit has gone up 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and whatever the budget for the fiscal year October 1st is going to be for next year is also what But again, we knew that.
Yeah,
we know that what the Democrats are going to hit, and they're going to hit what is the hardest for the Republicans to solve, which is the budget.
Right.
And one of the reasons it's hard to solve is because a significant portion of the public can be very fickle. We want cuts. When they start coming, we don't want cuts.
Right. Yep. Again, this is, I think the administration is doing a lot of the tough work, the job that needs to be done, and there should be a pushback against Congress on a number of items that if they're not willing to do that, there needs to be that battle. There needs to be that debate publicly. It needs to be right out there in the open. Things that have to be done or should be done. This is, again, we'll see. We'll see where they draw the line on Capitol Hill. You had Speaker Johnson last week. There's some meaningful things we're going to get done through legislation and all this alluding to the Trump agenda. Well, that's great. Let's see where you disagree. Let's see where you draw the line, because I'm curious.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up following the bottom of the hour, this is a really fascinating story. New York green car law has auto dealers fired up as the looming deadline does not match reality. Don't destroy the automobile market in New York.
Right. Yeah.
We'll have that coming up. Oh, what was it? Where I saw Hochul was, what did she say? The Trump administration, what the Trump administration is doing is trying to give the appearance of holding the city hostage because of where he has stood on the congestion pricing.
Right.
The congestion tax. I'm going to look. I got to see if there's been a New York City poll done on the congestion tax.
Yeah, I'd like to see.
I got to see if there's a poll on that. I'm going to look that up. So
and the reason why we're interested in the poll, you might think, well, nobody could be for it. Well, you would think nobody could be for the soda cup size ban, but 42% of people in New York City were. 42%.
Remember that?
Oh, my gosh.
Remember when we were sitting here and we're going, excuse my language, but we're going, what the H?
Yeah.
We couldn't believe it. Remember, we were getting calls from New York City.
Yeah.
We want calls from New York City, and we were getting calls, well, I smoke cigarettes and I can't handle the government needs to come in and ban cigarettes, too, because I can't stop smoking cigarettes. And so, yeah, I think it's a great – I'll never forget that call ever.
Well, remember Mika when it came to salt. Well, I
geez.
can't control my salt. We need someone to there should be a law. There should be a law. There should be a law against stupidity. But there's not.
I'll never forget that. I can't stop salt. I'm an adult. I'm an adult, and I can't do it, so I need – go back to Chris Rock. Remember during Obama? Yeah. Now – President Obama and Michelle, they're our mother and father. Remember that one?
Right.
And God's sakes, grow up.
And then the whole trans fat ban. It was like, and by the way, for those that don't know what trans fat is or was, it was not lard identifying as Crisco. It was used in cooking and restaurants, and we're going to ban this, we're going to ban that, we're going to ban taste. We're going to ban salt.
I like that. We're going to ban taste.
Yes.
Taste.
No more good.
And next thing is?
All good things are done.
RFK Jr. is going to ban smell because that's what gets us to eat the wrong food.
That's right. And next, we're banning happiness. It's over.
No, they did that already inside the Democratic Party. They banned happiness a long time ago.
I would say they banned joy, but technically MSNBC did. So no more joy. It's just this stupid approach. Again, I can't regulate how much salt I use.
I'm an adult, and I have no control over my life, so I think government should mandate and control all of our choices because I'm a child, and I can't control myself. I have no self-control, so I need other adults to tell me what to do, how to do it, why to do it, and when to do it.
Exactly.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks for being here. I did find some polling on the congestion tax.
All right. What do you got?
This makes no sense at all.
No.
From CBS News. This doesn't make any sense. Here we go. Wow. Now, they don't separate and say one is New York City voters and the other is the state of New York. It just says a majority of voters in New York want New York City. It says wants New York City congestion pricing to stay. That's not necessarily true here. In the survey of 1,200 registered voters, 6 out of 10 New Yorkers say President Trump should allow the tolling plan to continue. But further down in the article, it says, even though drivers are noticing a difference, it doesn't mean they agree with being charged to come into the city. The poll found that 47% of people from across the state oppose the congestion tax, while 27% support it. So is this a thing that if they just want Trump out of it, but they're against it? I can't figure this out. Does it make any sense?
Yeah, I don't get that. 60% are okay with it?
60% want Trump to stay out of it and allow it to continue.
Right, which means then you want it to continue. That means you're for it.
Well, no, you want Trump out of it because the poll found that 47% of people in New York oppose the congestion tax, even though 60% are for it if you mention Trump's name.
Right.
And nowhere does it separate, because I'm looking for where it separates and says, well, this was a poll on New York City residents and this is a poll generally in New York. Because they only have The poll found 47% of people from across the state oppose the congestion tax. 27% support it.
Now, here's my question.
Well, that's a 33-point difference than when you mentioned Trump.
Did they break it down to drivers, people who drive a car?
No.
I have friends and family that lived in New York City and never owned a car while they were there.
Yeah, okay. It's a good point. Yeah, if you don't own a car.
If you don't own a car, you're okay with it.
Yeah.
Wow. Because that's all that matters. Remember the whole poll on something percent of Americans believe in, and it had to do with the airlines? No. Only poll the people that are flying at least once a year. Do you fly at least once a year? That's all that matters.
Yeah.
In this case, it only matters to the people who are paying it. How many people who drive, who own a car or rent a car, who drive and have to pay the congestion fee or for it? That's the question.
Then another poll was done. Just over 50% of New Yorkers oppose congestion pricing, with opposition strongest in the suburbs and among Latino and Republican voters. That's because Democrat voters don't have cars.
Yeah.
They're more likely not to have a vehicle. Let me put it that way.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, a lot of young people. I mean, look, sorry, but, and this is what my family members and friends told me. It's not affordable.
All right, now this is a year ago, 11 months ago. 2/3 of New Yorkers opposed it back then. Oh, that was when it was $15. When they put it down to $9. Remember, you saved $6.
Yeah, right. We're saving you
we're saving
money.
you.
We're saving you money. Yeah, no, you're not. No, you're not.
Wow. It's like, figures it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
All right.
You should only poll people who own or rent a car that would be paying the actual tax.
Meanwhile, speaking of vehicles, the Hochul administration green rule requiring that 35% of 2026 model cars sold in the state to be emissions-free is an unrealistic bust, auto dealers claim. The Advanced Clean Cars 2 mandate calls for all automobiles to be free of fossil fuel emissions by 2035, ratcheting up the percentage each year. But New York's auto dealers said the deadline to meet these goals of winning drivers off gas-powered cars to electric vehicles is pie in the sky. The deadlines do not match the reality, said the chairman of the Greater Automobile Dealers Association of New York, who owns a Cadillac dealership. Dealers want to extend the deadline so we don't destroy the market. Another Chevrolet dealer said the industry is just not there yet, as there are not enough charging stations in operations, as the rule would require a slew of new electric vehicles. The infrastructure is not ready for these ambitious deadlines. The Department of Motor Vehicles monthly records he's reviewed shows that 8 to 9% of new cars registered are battery, electric, or emission-free, and there's no way the 35% edict will be met by next year. The State Department of Environmental Conservation says electric vehicles account for slightly over 10% of car sales. By the way, nobody wants to be driving as their primary car. I'm from Buffalo, New York. The winter that they've had in Buffalo and Syracuse and Rochester, nobody wants to be driving an electric vehicle. It is completely impractical.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Totally. And the kind of stuff that they get there. I remember it was last summer, and I met a very, very nice woman who runs a number of dealerships. I think 5 different dealerships in New York. And she said, we've been talking to, the Democratic legislators, and they've said, no, this isn't going to happen. Well, here we are.
Yeah.
They're right there.
Yep.
And she said they're going to have to back off. You're going to start destroying dealerships if you do this. We cannot reach that goal. And if you fine us or do whatever you do, if you can't mandate that you sell something that the public doesn't want.
I mean, they're bricks. And you can't have bricks on your parking lot, on your sales lot. I talked to a number of people in the automotive industry at dealerships, and they're all complaining about the same thing. And their take on it is, you want to sell EVs, go have an EV dealership. And good luck to you.
While setting environmental sustainability goals is laudable, they always have to say that, right?
Yeah.
Hitting 35% is next to impossible, and consumers will be left holding the bag. It is unrealistic to assume this is what they want in New York. A 300% year-over-year increase in the demand for zero-emission vehicles.
Yeah.
Oh, when I talked to the owner of the 5 dealerships, she said every Democrat legislator said we can't do this. Everyone that she's talked to, off the record, we can't do this. No, we know we can't do this.
Well,
they just don't know how to back out of it.
It's you're getting to the point now where the dealerships are going to have to close their doors, and you're going to be directly responsible for it. And none of them will shy away from saying this was because of the mandates.
And listen to this: with car dealers now forced to order more zero-emission vehicles, there will be fewer gas-powered vehicles on the lot, driving up prices for the remaining gas-powered vehicles. When inventory of gas-powered vehicles run out, local consumers will be forced to choose between purchasing a vehicle locally that they do not want or going out of state to purchase a car. Most will choose the latter. Wow. The Department of Environmental Conservation, which oversees a program to transition from gas to clean energy cars, defended the mandate. New York State is committed to working with all parties to help ensure the state's smooth transition to electric vehicles for the health, environmental, and economic benefits it will provide for New Yorkers. And then they continued, blah, 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 blah. The agency said it will continue to get input from New York's congressional delegation, manufacturers, dealers, and other stakeholders to obtain the most accurate information about reducing pollution and work to ease any potential compliance burdens. Yeah, you got to get rid of the mandates.
Yeah. Yeah, you do.
Now, this is going to be interesting because here we go again. See, it was all fine and dandy when it was all abstract.
Exactly.
But just like
one day, wind and sun will power everything, even the charging stations for EVs, and we won't have to. And hey, what happened? Yeah, I'll tell you what happened. Reality happened.
Right. Now reality hits. The public doesn't want it, and what are they going to do? They're going to destroy auto dealerships all across New York State because as I grew up in Buffalo. I'll go to Erie, Pennsylvania to buy a vehicle.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can say what can be sold and what can't be sold. The neighboring states are going to, hey, come on over.
Yep,
come on over.
And
used sales going to go through the roof
on the internet. Yep. You go to a state where they don't have any of these mandates at all. You sit there and you do it on the internet,
right?
You go on the internet, you bargain with somebody from Texas, you fly down, you pick up the car, you drive back.
In Texas, people don't know this. We fill our gas tanks with pure crude oil. Not even refined.
How would you do that, though? How would you get it licensed?
What?
Just thought about that. How would you get the car licensed if you want to buy it in another state?
I don't know. I don't know what the particular laws are.
Yeah, that'd be
about whether you can license something you bought it. No, there is. I know on the California mandate there is something. There is an exception. You have to pay something. I don't remember what it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought about it, but whatever it is, I'm going to look and check prices and go, well, let's go to Erie, PA. If I'm living in Buffalo or Rochester or Syracuse, I'm heading to the Pennsylvania border and seeing what's the difference in price and what's the difference in demand there. And I would have no problem if I'm going to buy a new vehicle, if I can purchase it in another state where there is no mandate.
And ultimately, if I can't get around it, I move. If I can't afford to stay any longer, I'm gone. Goodbye, New York. Goodbye, California. Goodbye, Illinois. See ya. Soon you'll be the governor of nothing.
Yeah.
Because that's what it comes down to. You know, a lot of people can't afford to move, but at some point you can't afford to stay.
I was trying to be diplomatic and not make it political with the that owner of the dealership, because I don't know politically where she stood. Mm-hmm. But I said, she goes, I'm sure from every Democrat I talked to, they know this can't last, and so we believe it will be reversed. Will it?
I don't know.
And I just said, I don't know. They're really
it's when dealerships start collapsing politically. That's something you're going to have to take the heat for, because the dealerships that close in these states, there's a lot of companies that own dealerships nationwide. We're shutting down the dealerships in these states because we can't meet that state mandate.
And I can see if they wouldn't back off. Can you imagine dealerships? You know, if you're a dealership in Erie, Pennsylvania, or, you know, any other of the border cities, mm-hmm. that you set up dealerships and you market exclusively to New Yorkers.
Yeah. Come on in.
I don't know what the rules are, the pollution
Show
laws.
us your New York ID, get a discount. I don't know, whatever. Get free floor mats.
Yeah, I don't know what the pollution law is in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I'd go to Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you find out where it is, and if I've got to go somewhere else, if I got to go to a state that has no mandates at all, because Trump took off the electric vehicle mandate,
mm-hmm.
I'd head right there, and I'd buy the vehicle online, and you know, you can do it for RVs.
Oh yeah,
yep. Well, I know you can do it. If you can do it for RVs, you can do it for cars.
Yeah,
because they're constantly saying for RVs, come from all over the country, get your RV.
Oh yeah, yeah,
drive it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you can do it. 866-90 Red Eye.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome. Good morning. Coming up, we'll have some Scott Jennings audio cuts from over the weekend that were just absolutely great. Plus, comedians Jim Breuer and John Lovitz in separate, you know, they weren't together doing this, talking about how great DOGE is. In fact, Jim Breuer saying one of the greatest things, it's what we said last week, or the week before, the greatest thing that's probably ever happened domestically is Trump. You know, and you take a great gamble by doing it, but going and saying, let's find the wasteful spending, let's find the fraud, let's do an audit, let's cut.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they agree with that.
Right.
Wow, you're losing some in Hollywood, huh?
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
And here we are. Welcome. We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All across America we are. Good morning. Thank you for being here. We made it to a Monday. All right, you ready?
All right.
For audios? Just so many audio cuts over the weekend. This first one is where, and we had mentioned this before, and this was Frank Luntz was a part of this. Van Jones, Scott Jennings, and Scott Jennings is challenging. Can he defend what Trump did by removing the Joint Chiefs chairman? All right?
Yeah.
And listen, like they're like daring him. Like, if you're a liberal, you don't have any grounds to challenge anyone on the right on any major issue right now.
No.
You really don't.
Yeah, you don't.
You really don't. And the fact that you think that you do shows you how much of a bubble, a delusional bubble you're in.
Yeah.
Really is.
Yeah.
Here's audio cut 1 with Scott Jennings.
So I'm looking forward to hearing my conservative friends speak out.
Scott, our conservative friend, speak out.
Yeah, I'll give you a good reason, because this person serves at the pleasure of the president. This is the principal military advisor to the president. And I don't, Van, necessarily think he had to have done anything wrong or had to have had a scandal or have any kind of mark against him at all. It's just that the president wants to have the most confidence in his principal military advisor. Obviously, he wants to pick somebody else. And there shouldn't be anything wrong with that, because under our Constitution, we have a civilian-led military, and the president is the commander-in-chief, and he should have the principal military advisor that he wants. I don't think there's anything wrong at all with General Brown. I think he has served this country honorably. I think he's a good man. And you might remember back in the first Trump term, he was promoted and nominated to be the head of the Air Force by Donald Trump. So obviously Trump has liked him in the past and thinks he's had an amazing career, and he even put out a positive statement about him tonight. But at the end of the day, this is a position that serves at the pleasure of the president. The president's Donald Trump, and he deserves to have the top advisors that he wants and that he has the most confidence in.
You notice that every single thing the Republicans do, the Democrats go crazy about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nothing's changed.
No.
And as we've said, the challenge that this president has and the Republicans have is inflation. Mm-hmm. Now, do we need to explain what inflation is? Do we, Joy Reid, that's the auto cut that we played earlier of her saying that the public doesn't even know what inflation means.
Right.
They have to be explained.
Right. They learned that word from the Republicans while they were running for office.
Yes. So,
You're too stupid to know what inflation. You don't use the word inflation.
And then this is the talking point. You notice the talking point really since last Thursday or Friday. That Trump is now, he's not, remember, first it was unconstitutional, then it was democracy is gone, and they couldn't sell that. Now Trump is breaking norms.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You notice it?
Yeah.
That's the new talking point.
Right.
It's interesting to follow it. Breaking norms. And I'm like, once breaking norms doesn't work, where do you go? Forget about Breaking Bad.
Right.
He's breaking norms.
By the way, they're just now getting around to the fact that Trump is breaking norms.
Here's this back and forth. All right, here we go. All right.
But if we had a president a Democratic president who ran over these norms, you would be upset.
Dan, you keep saying that we'd be upset if a Democratic president violated norms. Brother, last year, Joe Biden was asleep and Kamala Harris was at a dance party with Beyonce all year. You violated norms for the entire year, and it's one of the reasons that Donald Trump won the election. Norms were violated for 4 straight years. And yes, I didn't like it, but Donald Trump, in my opinion, is not exceeding his authority under the Constitution with this.
Joe Biden. All right, now, what he does then, Scott Jennings put this together. He put together a little audio thing after that audio cut. You ready? Here we go.
Is asleep. Kamala is at a dance party with Beyonce. 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 Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce.
Oh, that's great.
He put that together outside of the actual, panel discussion that they were having. I'm sure for anybody who's following him on X. Right. Now, the most interesting thing is you always look for the barometer of people that attempt to portray themselves as independent, even if they're more left. And in that was Frank Luntz. Frank Luntz, we had played earlier, saying people voted for him because they didn't want things to remain the same. They wanted the status quo to be broken.
Yeah.
But Frank Luntz, during all of this, is sitting there smiling and shaking his head every time Scott Jennings speaks. That's an indicator right there that as he is a pollster, when he's like, you can't sell this, Democrats. You can't. But now they're to the point. Again, it was Donald Trump is Hitler. Then Donald Trump is a threat to democracy.
Uh-huh.
And now it's Trump is breaking norms.
Yeah. Yeah. Outside of the norms. He's doing things that aren't normal. I'm sorry, you're just realizing that about Donald Trump? It was the reason, by the way, that many liberals were asking him for years to run for office.
Yeah.
Because he was very vocal about where he stood on certain issues. The issues, by the way, that he's implementing in his second term, and some he did in his first term, that he talked about on talk shows forever. Larry King, at a distance. Larry, do you mind backing up? Your breath is horrible. Has anybody ever told you that? Phil Donahue, all the talk shows that he was on, and you're just realizing he's doing things that aren't normal.
We have to start playing that audio with some consistency.
It was pretty funny.
I know you shouldn't attack people that have passed on, but that's just too funny.
Look, we have great respect for Larry King, but that moment was funny.
In case you don't know, there was a time, has to go back to the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's the 90s. Larry King's interviewing Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Close. He goes, could you move back? Your breath stinks.
Yeah.
So that's right, too.
Has anybody ever told you that, Larry?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Go to Poughkeepsie.
Let's go to Poughkeepsie.
Now, I said this before. What got me interested in doing radio again after I was out I only was in for a year,
mm-hmm.
and then got out, and when I was a machinist, was working third shift, and I remember listening to Larry King.
Mm. Yeah, right.
And the interesting thing is, remember that Larry King, remember his head of affiliate relations became ours.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. I got into it for the money.
No, I remember just working. You got sick of music, and I was doing a ton of 12-hour shifts.
Mm.
On the machine, and so everybody had their radios on, and
mm-hmm.
just I got sick of the music, and Larry King was on. This was like 80. This is like 80, 81, 82.
Yeah.
When Larry had his when he was on overnights.
Right.
And the one thing that in particular I remember was when he interviewed Phyllis Diller, and I was laughing like crazy, and I went, maybe there's a chance I could do this. Maybe I could do this someday.
Right.
That's what got me interested in doing it. So,
yeah.
But when you look at other things, you talk about breaking norms. Democrats aren't happy about this. House Oversight Committee Democrats are panicking over comments that President Trump made about reforming the U.S. Postal Service.
Okay.
While Trump has not established a specific plan, he criticized the post office and talked about how it might be improved upon during the swearing in of Commerce Secretary Lutnick. Said, quote, "We want to have a post office that works well and doesn't lose massive amounts of money, and we're thinking about doing that," Trump told reporters in the Oval Office, "and it will be in a form of a merger, but it will remain the Postal Service, and I think it'll operate a lot better than it has been over the years. It's been just a tremendous loser for this country, tremendous amounts of money that they've lost, and we think we can do something that will be very good and keep it in a very similar way, but whether it's a merger or just using some of the very talented people that we have elsewhere so it doesn't lose as much." Following the remarks, Democratic members of the House Oversight Committee sent a letter to Trump urging him to abandon any plans to reform the U.S. Postal Service because it's working so well.
Yeah.
Your reported efforts to dismantle the Postal Service as an independent agency would directly undermine the affordability and reliability of the U.S. Postal Service. system. Ranking member Jerry Connolly and the panel's other members wrote in a letter, "We urge you to abandon immediately any plans that would either privatize the Postal Service or undermine the independence of the Postal Service." You can't sell that to the public.
No.
Now, the one thing you can sell to the public is if there's drastic changes to the post office.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how you keep the post office in its current form without it losing money forever.
No, that's the conundrum, because you can say, look, the idea of saying, all right, we should do away with it. That's not going to fly right now. Now, one day, I mean, I don't know. It may run its course, but the problem is you're not going to be able to get that done over the next 4 years. So what can you do? Well, remember, they started screaming. How about no mail service on Wednesday and Saturdays?
And people went crazy.
They threw their mind. Are you kidding me? I get all my good coupons on Wednesday. Okay. And
which, of course, is the role of the federal government to ensure you get your coupons.
Right. And unsolicited garbage. How am I going to take the trash out if I don't get all my mail? I won't have enough trash to take out for an entire month. It's a problem. I look, greatly respect. I have friends who have done that, and in fact, my carrier, my main carrier, Daniel, who's been doing it for years, former military, served in war, and now gets out there and every day he'll come through the yard, and I'll either be outside or on the porch when he's coming there, waiting for my junk mail. A great guy. We've had great conversations.
Does he actually carry a bag and deliver it to your house?
He actually does.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we just had the truck. We've got the mailboxes out in front of our house.
Yeah, no, we've got ours right there on the porch, and so he comes up to the porch, and we're sitting and talking, and he's, and that's the thing, it's not an easy job, but you think about the efficiency of it. We all scream. What didn't we look up the current price of stamps? I have no idea what they are. I haven't ordered a book of stamps. I only order a book because you and I have the same problem. I only have one thing that I have to mail each month.
One thing.
Yeah. So
something that we relate together.
A book of stamps is going to last me forever. So I have no idea what it's up to.
I think the last amount I paid maybe was 53 cents.
Was it 53?
I don't
Hold
even.
on, we got to Google it, folks. All right.
What is it right now?
Stamp price.
What the price is forever.
73.
It's 73 cents?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I've paid more than 53.
Well, see, no, we go 73. That's outrageous.
No, but I probably got 50 stamps, which would have been, if I only have one a month, that's only 12.
Right.
So that means it could have been 3 years ago.
No, that's exactly. I don't remember the last time I bought them. It seemingly never runs out. Maybe they are forever stamps. But the thing is that you have that. It's if you want to mail something, 73 cents to get that piece of paper across the country, pretty good deal by comparison. But you just have this massive inefficiencies, set of inefficiencies in that entire system. But try and do away with it.
And hey, don't accuse us of being Postal Service.
No,
Eric and I are the only two people in the country that have recommended the movie Postman with Kevin Costner.
That's right. Yes.
We love that movie.
It's a good movie.
I do. I love that movie.
It's a good
movie. It's a great movie. And it bombed at the box office.
Yeah, it didn't do much.
Especially Tom Petty's appearance.
Yeah.
Don't I know you?
Now, ironically, when Netflix first started, you would get the movies through the mail. I wonder how many people ordered the Postman and had that delivered.
By the postman.
Yeah.
866-98-RED-EYE.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on speed and space management. Due to safety concerns, many motor carriers have policies that limit or prohibit the use of cruise control. If your motor carrier does allow you to use cruise control, you should only use it in good driving conditions during daylight hours and on roads that have light traffic, few curves or hills, and a consistent speed limit. Never use cruise control when operating in adverse driving conditions, including wet, icy, or slippery roads, during rush hour in heavy traffic or on congested highways, at night, or when you're tired or fatigued. During all of these driving scenarios, you want to be controlling and adjusting your speed as you drive instead of having to suddenly brake if you encounter an obstacle. In the case of a slippery road surface, you want to be able to slow your vehicle by not accelerating instead of using the brakes whenever possible. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. You know, I just looked up because we were talking about the U.S. Postal Service. The movie The Postman came out in 1997. Wow. Man, time's flying.
Back when stamps were only 40 cents.
Yeah. I still remember the quote. That's the difference between you and me. You don't believe in anything. And the postman, as he's being choked, remember?
Yeah.
I believe in the United States of America. Boom! And he gets out of the chokehold. That was a great movie, though, because it did make you understand that when the U.S. Postal Service first came around, you know, and the Pony Express and everything else, when people actually were able to communicate, and how it does communication, you know, the early forms of communication, the communication that we have today, especially, unites everybody together.
Right, and the Pony Express was much faster than the post office today. It's amazing. Even stopping for water.
Well, you know, those pony riders wanted to work from home, and they said, nope, you got to come to work.
Nope. They literally wanted to mail it in.
It's like they got no rest period.
Yeah.
You know, they had to ride until they got to the next station.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
Full speed.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. I don't know, again, you can't, you're just not going to, I don't know how you solve that problem, because politically you try and take it away. Oh, no.
Yeah.
I think we would all get used to, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, you know, mail, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, mail. I think we'd all get used to that. But the problem would be, okay, do you need priority? Because, you know, the post office does work on Sunday. They deliver packages.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to hire them to do that, okay, you pay for that, and then you could decide if it's worth it or not. But, again, politically getting to that point is going to be a bit messy.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thanks for being here this morning. All right, let's look at the comedians. What are the comedians saying? Now, this has some sound effect behind it. Fox News Digital put it together, but it's comedian John Lovitz. The liar. Yeah, that's the ticket.
Yeah, that's the ticket.
Oh, my gosh. All right, here we go. John Lovitz talking about the debt. Well, those are words I never thought I'd say. John Lovitz.
Let's go to John Lovitz on the debt.
On the debt. Here we go. All right.
You know, we want you to cut government waste. And suddenly everyone knows. Since you're a kid, they talk about like the armed forces, the $600 for a bolt or a toilet. And there's tremendous waste, and they're fighting it, and I think that's a good thing. Some of the Republicans, I go, because they seem to be a lot better at business than the Democrats. And the Democrats go, well, they just spend, and you're going to pay for it. Well, how are you going to pay for it? And but the government's way out of control, because all I have to do is, forgetting whatever party you're in, Democrat or Republican or nothing, your taxes go to the government, and then you look up how are they being spent. Look up anyone can look it up. It says U.S. national debt clock. Shows you in black and white, here's the money coming in and here's the money going out. And the money going out is astronomical and way above what's coming in. Like crazy. And I think if everyone would look at this, if you haven't seen it, you'd be shocked. You go, well, no wonder the country's in debt. And then they go, well, we'll just print more money, but then that's inflation. So then the cost of everything goes up.
There was nothing funny about that at all.
Let's trim the budget. Yeah, that's the ticket.
The ticket. Now here's Jim Brewer, comedian. All right, all these over the weekend. Here we go.
What's being exposed right now may be the greatest. I'm really being dead honest. This may be the greatest moment in our existence, in our nation, in history.
Yeah.
That we know that we're living. Because now that you see all the money that was stolen from you. They use the word tax. If you just change the word to tax, change the word tax to stolen.
Yeah, I mean, and then he continues to go on. He went off on a couple tangents, but that was the basic thing. So you're and the reason I played that is because you're looking at Lovitz especially. Remember when Lovitz was talking about a couple of years back about how expensive it was to operate his comedy club in California?
Right.
And he has always said, it doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. These are things that are, and he's true. It's true, but a significant portion of people in the country, the Democrats have completely ignored the debt. Like, well, let's sit down and we can bipartisanship does not work in cutting the debt. It doesn't. It never has. We've gotten all when we hear all the time, we need bipartisan, common sense, common sense. You believe a man can be a woman if the man says so.
Yeah.
You've just thrown common sense out the window.
Yep. Well, and again, it's let's lose our ever-loving mind over every move that the Trump administration makes. You know, we went over the congestion pricing poll of New York. You involve Trump's name on it, and then all of a sudden the numbers start changing.
Yeah.
You know? But it's where the left is. But Trump won't be the last guy. It'll be next if it's J.D. Vance that runs in 28 or whatever. Then he's going to be the new Hitler. He's even worse than Trump. That'll be the thing. Worse than Trump. Wait for it. He's worse than Trump.
That's right.
You'll have Bill Maher doing his whole shtick over again. Oh, we called the other guys Hitler. We called Trump Hitler, but J.D. Vance really is Hitler. Just wait. Whoever it is that runs in 28 becomes the nominee.
Will be worse than Trump.
Worse than Trump.
Trump will replace Hitler.
Yep. And that is even worse.
I'm sitting here reading this Miranda Devine. God, this is great. I'm just reading a couple of paragraphs. The headline, it's so easy to mock the sick and rudderless Democrats. It's not very sportsmanlike to mock your opposition when you're winning, but sometimes the temptation is just overwhelming. Having resisted the urge to launch cheap shots at Democrats since Donald Trump's inauguration, my resolve just crumbled over two stories that encapsulate the party's moral bankruptcy and refusal to change direction. Story number one, and by the way, story number two is better than story number one, even though story number one is pretty interesting. Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers, a Democrat, backed legislation that redefines mothers as inseminated persons. That's a quote.
All right.
The budget bill introduced Friday also replaces father with parent over 120 times. Republican State Representative Amanda Nowinski complained in a Facebook post, as a mother of two, it is absolutely insulting that the governor in his 2025 to 2027 budget bill would reduce me and millions of other mothers across Wisconsin to inseminated persons. I asked the question again to every Democrat out there, never received an answer. Why do you hate women?
Right.
Why are you trying to marginalize women? I saw this over the weekend on social media from a woman who wrote, I'm not a pregnant person, not a chest feeder, not a birthing person, not a person who bleeds, not an inseminated person. I'm a woman. It's not difficult.
Yeah.
But that was there. Now, the second one is, it goes, the second one is even better.
Mm-hmm.
Story number two. Deep Blue, Connecticut's Democrat-appointed social worker-heavy Psychiatry Security Review Board approved, now stop what you're doing unless you're driving.
Okay.
The Psychiatry Security Review Board approved the early release from a secure mental hospital of a cannibal axe murderer who ate his victim's brain and eyeball with chopsticks and washed it down with a glass of sake. Tyree Smith, 48, who killed and ate Angel Gonzalez in 2011, was deemed not guilty by reason of insanity by 3 judges and sentenced to 60 years in a maximum security psychiatric facility. But on Friday, the board, whose 6 members were appointed by Connecticut's Democratic governor, Ned Lamont, and only one of whom is an actual psychiatrist, decided in a majority decision that despite the protests of both his and his victims' families, Smith should get out 50 years early because he promised to take his medication.
Well, if he promised.
Oh, it even gets better. The board concluded that Smith was not experiencing cannibal cravings to eat human flesh, but he would reach out to his hospital if he had the urge. And that's not reassuring. 4 Republican state senators issued a joint statement condemning Smith's conditional release as mind-boggling. In what universe is this okay? In the Democrat universe, it seems, because there hasn't been a peep from a single Democratic lawmaker, even to try to quell the public rage about the possibility of a killer cannibal roaming the streets without his meds.
Why, hello, Clarice.
Republican State Representative Devin Carney pointed out that when the board was asked if Smith was likely to reoffend if he fails to take his medication, they said he was more than likely to do so. Okay. The decision to trust an insane cannibal murderer's promise to not reoffend is far too risky of an agreement to make, is what the Democrats or Republicans said. Wow.
Yeah.
That's how insane it is. That's still how insane Democrats are. And it's not changing at all.
No.
That's why every single thing, you notice now, as we have said, every single day they come out with something new, and it's lasting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter time periods. So when I played both Jim Brewer and John Lovitz, I did so for a reason, because these are comedians. Jim Brewer, though, has moved more to the right. John Lovitz is still playing that,
middle ground.
Middle ground.
Thing.
But you know where he stands. They look at what's going on and going, this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And Brewer was never really political.
No.
Until
he
probably
really
a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he really wasn't.
Where he just comes out. He's funny, man.
Oh, my gosh. No, he's, yeah.
I don't even care that he doesn't do Brian Johnson anymore when I watch his comedy specials.
Yeah, right.
That's the only reason I used to watch it. Is he going to do Brian Johnson from AC/DC?
Yeah. He also does a great Metallica.
Oh, yeah, I've seen the Metallica.
Hetfield. He does a great James Hetfield. It's.
Oh, by the way, we need to. PBS, no taxpayer dollars, but I'd be willing to donate if they do what they did about 5-6 months ago. I just saw it the other day. It was great.
What's that?
It was Metallica doing Elton John's Funeral for a Friend, Love Lives Bleeding, which is the song that made me like prog rock, believe it or not. People go, what? You go, yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was at some kind of thing of some award honors at the, what is it? The presidential, not the presidential library, the Kennedy Center.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So I just want to make sure Trump, if something like that happens again, Metallica playing Elton John, you got to allow in there. The Kennedy Center.
Yeah.
It was superb.
Yeah.
But yeah, with, and so you can see in the direction that the comedians are going even.
Mm-hmm.
And none of them are really going left. None of them are embracing the insanity of the left. But it just keeps getting more insane. And that's the challenge that Republicans have. You cannot let your foot off the pedal. And you've got to remember that, and this is why even when we talked about Trump, it was beautiful when he hit the Maine governor the other day, but you need to bring up and you need to challenge them and be blunt. I thought he did great, and then afterwards I said, he should start using the word misogyny. Why are you a misogynist? Why do you hate women? Why do you want to do this to girls? Why would you ever believe that men should invade the private space of girls in schools? What kind of pervert are you? I think they ought to be more blunt on this. I really do. Because that's not over-the-top rhetoric at all. It is so perverted where Democrats are going.
Yep. It really is. And it has to be confronted. You're winning. You're winning on this right now.
Yeah.
And Trump has no fear. People in his administration have no fear. What we're seeing in this awakening, and you and I touched on it, I think it was the night after Inauguration Day, touched on the fact that you see more and more people now that seemingly feel like they don't need permission to get up there and say, hey, I'm all right with Trump being president. The mob was ruling for the longest time. This fear was driving even major corporations, I believe. And now it's like, yeah, we're done. Not every corporation, not every person on the left, but you certainly in January of 2017 didn't see all of the tech heads up there with him on Inauguration Day. In 2025 of January, you did.
Yeah.
And they weren't afraid to be there.
866-98-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here. Coming up following the top of the hour, we'll hear from the Defense Secretary on Ukraine, and I thought he did very well. And basically, any of the stuff last week that wasn't tied up was tied up by him. We'll have that coming up. Don't forget, get our Red Eye Radio app today, and after our show is over, show ends at 5 a.m. Central, 6 a.m. Eastern Time. Rest of the time zones, figure that out. And right after that, we record our entire show, and that becomes our podcast, which you can listen to all day. So if you can only listen to part of the show and wish to listen to more of it during the day, you can do so. Or if you no longer work overnights or you've cured your insomnia, you can do that. Plus, if you can't listen to one of our great radio stations overnight, we stream our show live all 5 hours on the Red Eye Radio app.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.